What's going on, guys? Andrew Piluk Hockey here, back again with another video. And as you guys can see by the title, we're going to be talking about Morgan Rielly. Are the Leafs going to trade him when he's got 1 year left on his contract? Now, we're going to get into every detail. And of course, one of the bigger details is that, are the Leafs going to try to replace him with a guy like Dougie Hamilton, or do they make that move and then try to trade Rielly? There's a bunch of different things that's up in the air. But again, I'd like to let you guys know that this is just my opinion. I give you guys some of my thoughts behind it, some of the stats and everything like that. And then you guys can give me your response down in the comments. Let's have some constructive talking here. Let's not get too crazy with each other, but if you are new to this channel, make sure to like this video and subscribe, or if you dislike the video, make sure to do that as well. I need to know if you don't like the content. It does help me as well, so if you do dislike it, just know it does actually help the channel as well. But hopefully you do like it, and subscribing really does help a lot. I'd greatly appreciate that. But yeah, thank you for clicking on this, and let's get into the main topic here. So obviously the Toronto Maple Leafs underperformed again. And Morgan Rielly is a part of this core. He's been a part of the core for a long time now. He's been a part of rebuilding this team. He's been one of the main pieces that the Leafs have kept on with, built him up, and he's only 27. To me, it's still really weird that Rielly isn't 30 years old already, because it feels like he's been around for so long through some really bad teams, and he's always been a staple of this team that Leaf fans have always been supportive of. The problem is that there's going to be some casualties, almost, and as dark as that sounds, but Zach Hyman is probably pricing himself out of Toronto because they can't hold on to him and pay him that much money. They might have to give that money to two players instead of just him. With Morgan Rielly, it's because Hamilton's on the market, a lot of people are saying, well, Morgan Rielly's got 1 year left. The Leafs could upgrade and get Hamilton, sign him long term, and then move on from Morgan Rielly. Because, guys, Morgan Rielly does get you a lot back. Morgan Rielly will fetch you a very solid return. The reason why this is being brought up is also because the Leafs have gone with own rentals for a really long time. Freddie Anderson probably should have been traded before the season started. The own rental thing there got the Leafs absolutely nothing. Freddie Anderson obviously barely played this year, and we didn't even really get to give him that send off or trade him for something that would have been valuable to us. With Morgan Rielly, the Leafs might have to look at doing things a little bit differently. As much as he did step up in the playoffs and play better, the Leafs know that he still has his defensive liabilities, and if they can upgrade at that position in terms of offense, in terms of the power play, and get a little bit better defense, they're going to pay a lot more for a guy like Dougie Hamilton, but are they valuing him that much more than Morgan Rielly is the question. And to be honest with you guys, my opinion, I would like to see where Morgan Rielly's number comes in, because it will be less than Dougie Hamilton's. It will probably come in at $7 million, whereas Hamilton could get $8 to $8.5 million. I do really like Morgan Rielly. I'd really like to keep him around, and I'm almost on the fence of that Morgan Rielly and Dougie Hamilton isn't as big as a gap as people make it out to be. And the Leafs have to strongly consider either trading him to get multiple assets back and hope that Liljegren and Sandin do take that step this year, or do they just hold on to him and see what they can do, but then it's another own rental. So like I said with Rielly, he's 27 years old, 6'1", 219. He's built pretty well. The guy he doesn't look small whatsoever. He's pretty well built out there. In the playoffs this year, he had 3 points in 7 games. Career playoffs 19 and 32. This past season, he had 35 points in 55 games played. Very, very good. Sorry, I do want to look at his career numbers. 305 and 572, almost 60 goals there. Really nice numbers he's had with the Toronto Maple Leafs. Obviously, that 18-19 season was incredible. In a full season, Morgan Rielly definitely can give you 40-plus points easily. He's done it multiple times. He's gotten close a couple times here too with that 15-16 season of getting to that 40-point total. He's a guy that's going to give you a lot of offense. Now, I will say he has made improvements defensively, but he still isn't the greatest defensive defenseman, and that's been something the Leafs have been trying to acquire with TJ Brodie, with Jake Muzzin. They're hoping Timothy Liljegren's development has served him right, Justin Hall. So they do have room for this type of offense, but with the power play lacking so much, Hamilton is a guy that would improve the Leafs power play. And again, are you going to pay that much money? Does it make sense? The reason why I'm bringing up Hamilton so much is because of another quote that's been surfacing around Twitter. Now, of course, Account for Hockey always has the latest stuff here. So this is a quote, I believe, from Elliot Friedman, but it is definitely coming from Sportsnet. Some people have told me that Hamilton would be interested in playing in Toronto because obviously he has a hometown connection here. I've had people say to me that who know Hamilton or who have been around Hamilton, they're not convinced this is the best place for him. The interesting kind of thing about that is if Hamilton were to hear that, he's got the kind of personality which I kind of admire a little bit to say, well, screw that. I'm going to prove you wrong. And maybe that would be a good thing for Toronto. But I have some people who have played with him say that they're not convinced it's the best place, blah, blah, blah. I find it hard to believe that Toronto on some level isn't figuring out exactly how to do this. So basically, there's people around Hamilton that know that he's been a Leaf fan for literally his entire life. He was wearing like a Leaf jersey, and that clip keeps going around of him cheering at a Leaf game when it was known as the ACC. Now it's the Scotiabank Arena, of course. But basically what they're saying here is that if some people are telling him, hey, this might not be the best place for you, he might just be like, yeah, it is. I'm going to show you. That's all, like Friedman said, it is good for Toronto in that sense. But what he's trying to say here is that Toronto will look into this, and they should. Every team should look into this, regardless of, how they can make it work. Every team has to look into a top free agent, whether or not the person's interested in that or not, and they have to figure out if this is something that can be done cap wise, which to me it seems a little hard, but I'll show you guys that in a second. But it would be very good to have Dougie Hamilton on your team. Just briefly here, just so that way you guys understand, a lot of people don't like charts like this, but anything that's blue, which is 99% of this, is good. His offense, his defense, he's just a guy that gives you the best that he possibly can every single game. His numbers are real good. Now, like I said, the cap situation wise. Now, again, do not take this literally. This is just one way I think the Leafs could do it. Now, you're going to see Kerfoot and Morgan Rielly here. This is just so that way this money would be taken off the books. Kerfoot would be taken by Seattle. Rielly would be traded. This is what I would do with the remaining money. Now, I put Gusev and Coleman here. I also have Engvall and Galchenyuk. I have Mikheyev still here. And I have Reimer. Now, none of these numbers I would be like, oh, these are guaranteed contracts, or this is not enough or too little. This was just me filling in the gaps to show you guys the Leafs wouldn't have a lot of money to play with, and it's a 20-man roster size. If you wanted to get quality players, you would have to pay probably a little more than this or a little less for some of these guys. And this is what a roster would look like with Dougie Hamilton. Again, you're hoping that running Muzzin and Hall again would work. TJ Brody was solid, so bringing in Hamilton, this would be just perfectly fine. Sandin taking a step with Timothy Liljegren on that right side, also taking a step, would be perfectly fine with me. The blue line would be improved for sure, but then you have to wonder if this offense here is improved just by adding a guy like Coleman, bringing back Galchenyuk, and bringing in a guy like Nikita Gusev to try to see if he can spark something again with the Toronto Maple Leafs. And again, you could swap out Coleman, Galchenyuk, and Gusev for other guys that you would rather have signed, but this is just me spitballing around what could be possible, what the Leafs could do. The reason I'm making this video is because I more or less want to hear what you guys have to say about it, because I keep going back and forth in my head. Is it worth it for the Leafs to sign a guy like Dougie Hamilton to that much money? And to me, it does make sense. But on the other hand, it's like, is it worth it to maybe not have the best bottom six? Now, again, at the deadline, if you're accumulating money throughout the season, again, knock on wood for no injuries, you can make improvements to this team at the deadline. But this team has to be better than they were this year, because the division's going to get tougher when the alignment gets put back to normal and it's not just a North division. The Leafs are going to have to play significantly better because other teams are getting better and they will continue to get better. So it's going to become very difficult for the Leafs to make the playoffs, let alone be a Stanley Cup contender. So, getting assets for Morgan Rielly and also trading for Dougie Hamilton would be huge. but it's that money that's the problem. It's if they can afford to pay that much for a guy like Dougie Hamilton. So I want to know what you guys think. Again, if I rambled on too long, let me know that as well. The only way to fix a cap situation is trading away one of the big contracts, and would probably be Mitch Marner. But that's not going to happen. We've heard it's not going to happen. I might make another video on it, but it's just unlikely. So let me know what you guys think. If you are new here, make sure to subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. Like the video if you liked it, dislike it if you didn't like it, and yeah, let's have some conversations in the comments. I appreciate you guys as always. Peace.